The following program is being brought to you on the Seventh Wave Network. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit seventhwavenetwork.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome. It's time for expansion. It's time for vibrational attunement and channeled messages with the mothers. This is Conscious Conversations with Angela Blaha. In our program today, you will learn about new states of consciousness and seek unity within yourself. Now, here is your host, Angela Blaha.
Welcome to Conscious Conversations. I am Angela Blaha, and today I have the amazing Marilyn Harper. Welcome to the show, Marilyn.
Hello, Angela. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. Marilyn is the channel of Adironnda and Company, and today we are consciously talking about channeling. So Marilyn has been my teacher and mentor for a while now. And she's just an amazing being. So, Marilyn, can you tell us a little bit about how your medical physical abilities started?
Well, it was a pretty interesting adventure in the 90s as this all began. I was a normal person. I was, deacon in a Christian church and was having selling advertising for a country western radio station, and I experienced a major transformation. Some would call that a walk-in, but it was a complete shift of energy within me. And then in 1990, that was in 96, and in 99, I, being all that I want to be, or being all that I am, opened up to channel. And I'd had several people before tell me that I was a channel. I didn't really believe in channeling, but they said that that's what I was doing. And so then Adironnda, who is a multidimensional spokesbeing for a council of 10 or more, 12 or more, came in and spoke directly, and it was said they were here from Source Energy and here to connect with the facilities and here to help this planet shift. And they were honored that they called me the vessel, and it's kind of like a vessel of energy that I hold their space. And Adironnda is the spokesbeing for the council. The council consists of archangels, guides, teachers, beings that have been in physical form on Earth, as well as archangels. So it was all a pretty interesting thing, Angela. It was not something that I really set out to do in the 90s, but I guess I must have raised my hand and volunteered for this.
You said somewhere, yes, along the line, anywhere, huh?
Yes. I know when I woke up after I walked in, I really set out and decided to be all that I am. I knew I had new gifts, different gifts, and I kept in that connection. And I actually had an energy session every week for a year to clear out old patterns, old habits, help me get on my path and see, sense, feel, hear, and it was a pretty interesting journey. In the beginning, I didn't have that. We've got people that are seers and see energy, and people that experience it in a very physical way, and I honestly did not. I was like, I could do automatic or inspired writing, but I could not really do anything else. And I ask for conscious confirmation and try to really hone in on my intuition. And it was a pretty interesting journey to go from selling advertising to a full-time channel of spirit. It probably took about 10 years from 1999 until 2009 that I really became comfortable with what I do. And, as you know, Angela, you get the opportunity to be transparent. You get to be able to explain what you do and how you do it to anybody.
Right.
In a way that they can understand. So.
Right. So as a walk-in, you have so many different aspects of who you are, Marilyn, but you came in as an aspect or as a walk-in. And then how do you, did you feel lost for those 10 years? I mean, I couldn't even imagine to know how one would feel through that whole transformation.
Well, Angela, it was this. If it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't believe that it was possible.
Right.
And I actually walked in 1993, and I had complications following a surgery. I wasn't suicidal. I didn't have a near-death experience. I didn't any of that, which is a little more typical of a walk-in. It was just a prior agreement that at a specific time that the soul that was in this body would leave and the new soul would come in to take their place and the body would continue living. And for 2.5 to 3 years, I thought I had lost my mind. Right. I mean, I had I was not metaphysical. I was not, I got Shirley MacLaine's book out on a limb just because I liked Shirley MacLaine, and I threw it away because I thought it was sacrilegious. For the first 2.5 to 3 years until 1996, I had no idea. I was confused. I knew I couldn't wear the same kind of clothes. I didn't like to do the same kind of things. I didn't even have the same kind of talents or skills. It was different as night and day. My personality changed. My abilities changed. And it wasn't until 96, actually it was like December of 95, that I guess the universe decided that I was ready to hear the information as to what had happened, and I was introduced to the term walk-in, and Ruth Montgomery coined that term in the 80s as a person that had a soul exchange, and as soon as I heard the term, I really resonated with it. I thought, oh my gosh, that's what happened to me. Mm-hmm. And the way I found out was pretty wild. I mean, 3 people brought me the message of reading the book Strangers Among Us by Ruth Montgomery. And it was a physical conversation that I had with 2 people that I loved, knew, and trusted. And then a third person came in and gave me this information. I'm like, what is it with this book? And then the third person told me about the book, and that's when I realized what it was. And I actually went back to the first 2 people, and the conversation never happened. I mean, it was in the ethers that it happened. It was not in physical form, although I certainly remember it being physical. So it was the universe knowing that I was ready to hear this information, and then taking it from there.
Right. We are so expansive, and we don't even give ourselves credit for all the things that we can do.
That is correct. It's so interesting. I mean, as a walk-in, again, I would never have thought it was possible, and there's a lot of people that don't believe that a walk-in is possible, but everything in my life changed overnight. I left the hospital, and I couldn't do the same things. I didn't have the same skills. I mean, my walkout was a costume designer and a performer and a writer, and I can hardly. I mean, English is my second language now. I if you've read any of my writing, you know that I used to teach grammar, and you would never know by reading anything that I've written.
Well, that brings up a good question. So does the mind, does it literally think about how, when the soul changes like that, does it have to, like, does the body stay with the perspectives or the aspects of the soul that left?
Well, I think that the cellular memory is still there, because now I am using the cellular memory of the walkout. I actually believe that the walkout came back in 2009 and merged with the walk-in, because I am now more comfortable on stage than I ever have been as the walk-in. The walk-in was not comfortable on stage. The walk-in was not comfortable in front of people, even though in the channeling they came in. I mean, in the first transmission in 1999, they came in and said, "You're an activator, and you are to activate groups. And we, meaning Adironnda and the Council, will magnify that activation energy." So it was pretty wild to have this experience. And when that happened, when I walked in and for 2.5 years before I knew what had happened, it was like I almost thought that I'd had a stroke or something. Even though there was no physical evidence of that, and I couldn't think about doing the same things. I remember I used to. I mean, I worked for a theatrical supply company as a costume designer. I could whip up 15 bunny rabbit costumes in a week, and I did, and I could redesign and alter and create, sew, work with pattern or without pattern to do a whole show of 1920s dated costumes. And after I came out of the hospital, with complications following my surgery, I thought, well, I'm going to be at home here for a while. I'll heal. And I went to the fabric store to buy some fabric to make a blouse. And because it was kind of good therapy, I remembered. And I couldn't even figure out how to read the back of the pattern. I couldn't figure out how much material to get. And it's so bizarre. And I know the cellular memory is there. I just have to work harder to get to it. Events that happened in my childhood, my walkout childhood, they were really fuzzy for a while, for 2 or 3 years. Then when I woke up, I found that when I accepted what had happened, I found that I could pull up her memories, kind of like going through, it feels like I'm going through a Rolodex of files, you know? Now, I don't know that I can still sew something. My son last year asked me to hem up his pants, and I didn't think anything about it, and he brought him over. I use an alterations person myself, and he brought his pants over and needed to go to work in a couple of hours. I mean, it took me every minute of 2 hours to figure out how to put the hems up in his pants. And I should have been able to whip that up in 10 minutes.
Right.
And he looked at me and thought, golly, you really aren't the same person that you were.
Yeah, that would be, for me, I think that would be very, very odd. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to be right back with Marilyn Harper.
The Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
In Angela's book, Show Me How to Remember Your Power Through Self-Love and Forgiveness, you'll find an empowering book filled with messages of love and forgiveness. She gives powerful ways to use your own courage, strength, and love to heal your emotional and mental body. You can find the book at Amazon or visit Angela's website at angelablaha.com. The book is available in paperback and Kindle formats. Step back into your power. Get Angela's Show Me's at angelablaha.com.
We all want peace. We all desire a more meaningful life. We work hard to achieve these things, but at what avail? The key is authentic living with Andrea Matthews. Andrea will interview some of the great spiritual experts of today and will provide wisdom to help you raise your consciousness to the level of your own I am. Your authenticity can give you miraculous gifts, but you have to know how to get there. Listen for Authentic Living with Andrea Matthews. Heard live every Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time on the 7th Wave Network.
When you learn to see things from a spiritual perspective, it changes the way you see virtually everything in your life. Listen for Dr. Paula Joyce and her program, Uplift Your Life, Nourishment of the Spirit. Our program will help you get rid of the negative aspects of your life and invite love, joy, and prosperity into your life. Turn that negative feeling into a positive one. Tune in to Uplift Your Life, Nourishment of the Spirit every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
The Voice America 7th Wave Channel. Be extraordinary. Be the change.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations. To connect with Angela Blaha or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to angelablaha005@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations.
Welcome back. I'm Angela Blaha, and I'm here with Marilyn Harper, and we are consciously talking about channeling. So, Marilyn, how did Adironnda first come to you as someone who wanted to be channeled, I guess?
Well, it was pretty interesting, Angela, and I think that that's exactly a good way to put it. How did they come to me as someone who wanted to be channeled? Because I didn't go searching out for Adironnda. I started having these dreams about this terrain of, dreams while I was sleeping of these blue type of hills with different shade of blue vegetation and these rounded buildings. And I had these dreams for about a year. And when I woke up to the fact that I was a walk-in, I had some readings from people, and they all said that I was a channel and that I needed to be on the other side of the table. And they said that I had that ability, and I'm like, well, what do I do about it? And how do I connect with that if that's the case, not thinking that it would ever happen? And right. So I actually started following some one of my teachers, B.J. King, following some of her techniques in connecting oversoul to oversoul. And I was a Reiki practitioner. I was Reiki level 2 at this time. And I was actually working with someone on the table and doing Reiki and connecting oversoul to oversoul, which is different than channeling, but kind of related, I guess. And then a being came into my awareness and asked to speak directly to the person that was on my massage table and asked to use me as a channel. And he did this telepathically. And I'm like, no, I've seen The Exorcist. I know what's going to happen. I was afraid. I didn't know. And he told me his name was Serapis Bey, who I had no idea who that was at the time. I now know he is one of the Ascended Masters. And I had eventually he convinced me that he was from God, and he used the term God, and that he really had to give this person that I was working on this information, and she would accept it coming through me as a channel. So finally, I surrendered to that energy, and he, Serapis Bey, then spoke through me, and that was the first time I would say I channeled, and it was information that I would never have been able to get to on my own. Very powerful. And after that, I think for the next year, I don't think I was quite completely present in my body. I mean, Angela, I didn't know that you could be walking around and doing my job and driving and doing this and that and not be present. I just had no idea. And then I had 3 car wrecks that year and 5 speeding tickets. And after the 3rd car wreck, I mean, luckily I was never hurt, and I never hurt anybody else, although my insurance company was getting ready to cancel me out. Actually, I think one insurance did cancel me out. And I after the 3rd car wreck, it was so fascinating because, I mean, it was relatively serious. I wasn't hurt much. I tore the ligaments in my foot and my leg and bruised up from my airbag. But the emergency personnel, I mean, the universe arranged for them to be on location. There was somebody that was jogging at that corner where was a paramedic, and someone else that was in the line of cars that was stopped. She worked at the ER in one of the hospitals. So, I mean, the universe arranged it completely. So they came up to the car and helped out. I was, pretty fine. And after that, though, the universe also arranged for a friend to come and stay with me. And she knew that I was not present, and she knew what to do about it. And she knew how to step my conscious self aside and speak to my higher self or whoever was present in my body. And that was really the first time Adironnda spoke. It was like the first weekend in June 1999. I remember it very, very well. And Adironnda came in directly and said, "This is who I am, this is where we're from, and this is why we're here. And we have met this vessel, Marilyn, in the 17th dimension, and we have discovered that she can hold our energy so we can help with the shift of this planet." I'm like, what the heck? And luckily we recorded those early channelings, and it's fascinating to see how Adironnda has developed over the years.
Right. So, that's probably a good point that we should maybe point out, is that we are always in control. right? No matter if we're a channel or if we're using our intuitive abilities or our metaphysical abilities in any way, shape, or form, that we, the human being, is always in control, right?
Yes, that is correct. As a trance channel, which is what I am, I didn't always have a memory. However, I trusted Adironnda implicitly. Adironnda would be my gatekeeper, that nothing negative, only energy from source or energy from the light can enter. And at any given time, I could easily, stop the energy, push through the energy. Even though I was not consciously aware of what was being said, it was not possession. I was in control of that. And that's a very, very valid point, Angela, because I think a lot of people think that channeling is like possession. And it's just not. Every channel that I've encountered, including yourself, they all channel in a completely different way. Some people sound and look like themselves, and some people don't, and it's all very different.
Right. So what does trans channel mean?
A trance channel is where the channel actually would step their consciousness aside or go into what would be like a hypnotic trance or like a trance. Usually on a trance channel, they don't have much memory of the channeling of the transmission. Mm-hmm. Usually on a trance channel, there's some sort of physical or change or a verbal sound difference between the channel and the person speaking the channeled information and the person speaking, just regular walking around in their body. Right. A trance channel, in the very beginning, I remembered nothing after I was done. I was directed by Adironnda to record everything, and I did. And I could not have told you what had transpired. Now we are more, Adironnda and Council and I are actually more merged together, which I think that is an important aspect of channeling. Many times a channel will have physical difficulties, will have kidney ailments or different organ depletion because the body isn't really designed to move that much energy through it. And so Adironnda and another teacher, BJ, suggested that I merge with Adironnda and that therefore it will be less taxing on my physical body. And that was a pretty interesting experience to feel. In the beginning, Adironnda was separate. Mm-hmm, right. Then when we merged together, I feel Adironnda within me, and they come to the surface sometimes, but not always. And yet it's still not possession. It's like a merging of two energies. And therefore it's safer on my physical body.
Right. So like a possession is like a total takeover of the body, mind, soul, where channeling is, in my view, is just like, okay, I accept their presence, but they can't actually take over and do whatever they want with my body and my mind and my soul. Is that about?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And then you've got conscious channels that are channeling information, but there's not a trance, and they have total recall, total memory. They like Lee Carroll is a conscious channel with Cryon. And I think I would consider Esther Hicks, Abraham, a conscious channel. I don't know. I've never had a conversation with her, but it appears more that way.
Right.
With me, I do have memory of what has transpired, especially within the first 24 hours. Usually I don't remember it for very long afterwards, but I think that's, my brain is only so big.
Right.
I do sometimes, 4 or 5, 8 private sessions in a day. And so I don't want to remember all that information. It's not my information.
Right.
So that's where when I do a private session, I do step aside and allow the energy to come through. Clearly, when I speak in front of traditional groups, and I feel that it's still bringing forth channeled information or channeled energy, it still looks and sounds like me. So I know that that's a part of that merging energy.
Right. All right, we're going to take another little short break, and we'll be right back with Marilyn Harper.
This is the Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
In Angela's book, Show Me How to Remember Your Power Through Self-Love and Forgiveness, you'll find an empowering book filled with messages of love and forgiveness. She gives powerful ways to use your own courage, strength, and love to heal your emotional and mental body. You can find the book at Amazon or visit Angela's website at angelablaha.com. The book is available in paperback and Kindle formats. Step back into your power. Get Angela's Show Me's at angelablaha.com. Sit back, relax, breathe. Reconnect to the still small voice within. Take the time to make a weekly visit to the sounds of the heart with host Sandy Goldstone. This unique program will help you cultivate and strengthen your heart's connection and feel love, beauty, and joy. You don't need to fear or suffer. Heed the call. Say yes to living from the heart's truth. Tune in live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. U.S. Pacific Time on the Voice America 7th Wave Channel. Join the evolving consciousness of humanity.
Be visionary. This is the Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations. To connect with Angela Blaha or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to angelablaha005@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations.
Welcome back. I'm Angela Blaha, and I'm here with Marilyn Harper, and we're talking about channeling. So how do you know, Marilyn, who is speaking from the council?
Well, in the beginning, that's a great question, Angela. In the beginning, when they came in and announced that there were 12 energies on the council, and they spoke independently. Adironnda is the spokes being, but a member of the council would come forward and speak, and they used to identify themselves. And they would come forward and say, this is Isis or Buddha or Archangel Michael.
So did you ask for that, or did they just volunteer?
They just volunteered that information. And I didn't ask for it. I don't remember asking for it. However, I was doing a group, and after the group, and this was early on, this was probably 2001, 2002, so it was pretty early on in my channeling career. After the group was over, I usually tried to give people snacks in order to get them back in their bodies before they drive away. Because Adironnda, as you know, you've been in our groups, there's a lot, everybody goes a little interdimensional, and there's a lot of energy that transpires. And so I was directed to have something salty, something sweet, and a little chocolate. I overheard someone talking about, well, you know, I see the Archangel Michael talks to me. I see that he didn't talk directly to you. So their ego got involved in that, and they never, ever identified themselves after that, ever, until I went to Israel. And that was, you know, in 2014. And so that was, 12 years or more that they did not identify themselves. You could tell in listening to the channeling and even in listening to the recording, you could tell that a member of the council would come forward and the voice or the syntax would change, but they didn't tell you who it was. Now, some people would guess, or some people would seem to know, but they still did not identify themselves. And when I remember when people would ask during a group session, who is this that's speaking, they would say Adironnda, or usually Adironnda would come in, or maybe the same person would come in and say that it is only their ego that wants to know. And if it is, one person or another, does that validate the information anymore? Right. And so that was a pretty interesting response. But when I went to Israel in 2014, I had a very significant encounter with Jesus. Now, Jesus has always been on the council and has spoken directly that I'm aware of a few times. I could probably count them on my hand up until 2014. And when I was in Israel and stood where Jesus stood, I went to the garden. I was directed to go to the Garden of Gethsemane and sit at a very particular spot. And come to find out that it was, according to folk tradition or lore, that it was near the stone, next to the stone that Yeshua prayed on at the Garden of Gethsemane, if you're no Christian tradition. And if you don't, then that won't mean anything to you. But he came through immediately and spoke to a group of people spontaneously and said that my name is Yeshua ben Joseph of Nazareth, and my name is not Jesus, and my last name is not Christ. And they say it Yeshua, and here in this tradition they say my name Joshua. And then he proceeded to communicate, and it was wild because just at that moment, a bus full of people got off at the Garden of Gethsemane, and they all stood around and listened to the transmission. And there were several Jewish people that were my friends that took me there, and they listened to the transmission as well. And that was the first time that he spoke. And then when we came home from the first time that he spoke directly, it says 2001 or 2, and said who he was. And then when I got back to the United States, we do a monthly double-digit activation message every month. That's a subscription-based. Mm-hmm. And he said ahead of time, I will be doing the double-digit activation for the next 3 months. And please share that with our friends. And that was the first time that we ever were able to state, this is who's going to give the transmission during the double-digit message. And it was so amazingly powerful. I just, just to sit in that energy of unconditional love with Yeshua is something that most humans don't get the opportunity to experience.
Right. I think that's important piece of being a channel is the overwhelming sense of that unconditional love and how we're so not used to it. I mean, you've experienced me, trying to do that. And at the same time, I think that not knowing their names, like I don't get names too often, not knowing their names keeps me out of my ego as well as, the people that I'm channeling for.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, Angela, is that it does keep you out of ego. It's like, it's not important who it is as long as you trust that the beings or the energies that come through are totally and completely from the light, from love. And that's an important aspect for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the most important aspect, I would say, is that you feel that love, right? It's indescribable. I generally can't put that kind of love into terms, into words.
Yeah, I get that. It's something that you just almost have to experience, and mm-hmm. it's interesting now that when Yeshua or Mother Mary comes forward and speaks individually now, people, they seem to know that, and because they're sitting in that unconditional love energy too, they actually they weep. They feel like they're overcome with emotion.
Right. Right, because we don't necessarily hold that energy inside of us only, like we share it, right? Because that's part of the healing and releasing and, love that we're here to do and to be.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's my favorite thing to do. just to feel the love, right?
Yeah, just feel the love.
Right, exactly. So the council, how do you know, and we only have a couple minutes until we're going to break again, but how do you know that they're from a council, like there's a whole group of beings?
Usually it's my information, and not everything is consistent, but usually it's my information that they will actually identify themselves or let their channel or let their vessel or their link or partner, as Lee talks, know that they are a collective or they are one entity, and really who they are or what their name is. I think it's about that kind of open communication with the council or with the spokesbeing. I find that a spokesbeing is common, and that spokesbeing speaks for a collective. Like Abraham, that's a collective of energy. Adironnda, even though Adironnda is separate, there's still a collective of energies on the council, and they identified themselves within the first few transmissions. So
I feel like they are teaching us about not working as individuals, right? Like not like we're not here to do this all by ourselves. That's what I feel like. Like there's some sort of community that needs to be formed within the human that we sort of miss. Does that feel like I don't know where that ever came from, but like they all work collaboratively together.
Yes, I believe you're right.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take another short little break, and then we're going to be right back with Marilyn Harper.
The Seventh Wave Channel on the Voice America Network.
In Angela's book, Show Me How to Remember Your Power Through Self-Love and Forgiveness, you'll find an empowering book filled with messages of love and forgiveness. She gives powerful ways to use your own courage, strength, and love to heal your emotional and mental body. You can find the book at Amazon or visit Angela's website at angelablaha.com. The book is available in paperback and Kindle formats. Step back into your power. Get Angela's Show Me's at angelablaha.com.
The divine lives within every one of us. Some people just need help unlocking it. Once you understand your own shadow self, you can begin to take steps to say goodbye to remorse, guilt, and shame. Then own up to living your life with great delight. Listen for Beyond Religion, Your Life is Waiting with host Jim Stacy. For 15 years, Jim has studied the Aramaic language, the non-religious language of Yeshua, and through that language, you can learn how to choose the life you want to live and live above smallness and the victim. Tune in every Tuesday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on 7th Wave.
Tune in each week for the Awareness Marketplace with host Michael Daly. The program focuses on raising our vibrational awareness despite everything that life throws our way. Between our guests and input from you, our listeners, we'll talk about a variety of topics that you need to know about. Each week also features a Words of Wisdom segment designed to set the vibration high and set you up for the coming week. The Awareness Marketplace is heard live every Saturday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on 7th Wave.
The Voice America 7th Wave Channel. Seek greater awareness.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations. To connect with Angela Blaha or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to angelablaha005@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Angela Blaha, and I'm here with Marilyn Harper. Marilyn, how do you teach other people to channel?
One step at a time.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of people will teach channeling, and I think one of the things that I do a little differently than most is my objective is to help someone first be able to trust the energy and the information that they're getting and be able to find their own techniques, find their own capabilities. You know, just like everybody rides a bicycle a little differently. I mean, you know, when you ride a bicycle, you're going to be pedaling up and down, but whether you shift your weight with each pedal or whether you have your handlebars up or have your racing handlebars, whether you want a big tractor seat or whether you want a little tiny, you know, seat, you know, all of that is different. And that's what I do when I teach channeling is first I teach you how to feel the information. I teach you how to sense that sort of transmission. I don't know any other term to call it besides a transmission of information. I teach how to sense it, how to feel it, how to maybe see it, how to hear it, and then to trust it. And I think that's part of one of the hardest parts when I teach people how to channel. It doesn't necessarily all happen at the same moment. It truly is a process, as you well know. I think that's why I start with automatic or inspired writing. I provide them with a recording, and then which takes them through step-by-step process in clearing and sealing the space and being in protection and connecting with the oversoul and then allowing the energy to sort of move through their body, and then we talk about it afterwards and what it feels like, where did you feel it in your body, and once you can identify that, then you can always return to it, and you can always sort of have that connection and learn to count on that. When I started down this path, at first they said, you're an activator, you're to gather groups together. And it's like, I had my first group like 5 days later. And I had no idea what I was doing or anything else, but I had to trust that Source or God would not lead me into any situation that would be endangering me or others. And that's what I teach when I teach people how to channel. And it's a building process with you or the student, for lack of a better term, get to find the pathways that you can consistently count on, that when you do and say these signals, these things, that you get it, that your conscious self steps aside, or that the channeled energy comes through, however a person finds it. And I found each individual person is completely different in the way it comes in, the way the energy comes in. And I think that's where some people that teach it, they teach only one way.
Right.
That this is how I learned it, so this is how you're going to do it too. And honestly, Angela, I don't know how I learned it. I explored that in retrospect.
Right.
And a lot of the information that we use when we participate in a one-on-one or a one-on-group class is a downloaded information where I hold the space that their own guides, if they are indeed to be a channel, that their own guides provide them with the information that is necessary. And it's pretty, as you know, it's pretty interesting when all that comes about. You are a channel, Angela. You've been through my course, if you would, to develop those muscles, develop that skill. How did it feel for you when this first began happening?
I think trusting yourself is probably one of the most important things. And what I love about you, Marilyn, is that you do teach on a unique individual basis. And I think that that's really what I needed in order to expand and to grow into that area. So I know, Marilyn, that you do private sessions and you have a convergence coming up in Denver in September. You can find Marilyn all over the world, literally all over the world. And she's just an amazing, amazing being and filled with so much love and compassion for everyone. And so I just want to say thank you, Marilyn, for being on our show today. You know that I love you very much. So I want to thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. And if anybody wants to contact me or sign up for the convergence, it's Adironnda.com. Visionariesinlight.com is the convergence, which you're going to be a speaker and a channel at our convergence.
Yes, I can't wait. Okay,
I can't either.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. So until next week, everyone, thank you for joining us today. And I hope you have an amazing week. And please let us know your responses to today's show. It's always greatly appreciated. And all my love to each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this week's edition of Conscious Conversations. Be sure to join Angela Blaha for another edition next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America 7th Wave channel. Until our next meeting, have an extraordinary week.